2, 3. All right, get my chair in position. All right, one of my screens is not full. All right, there we go. And I'm gonna need these today. Cleaning cloth. All right, we are in position. Everything is ready. Let's get the show started because there is a lot to talk about today. All right, welcome. You're here with Kenyon Ellis, aka The Kid. Welcome to Atlanta DJ Zone Tech Tuesday Live, DJ Tech Pod Show that covers everything on the technical aspect, all the way up to business and so forth. So let's do a quick recap. I want to do. I set up something to do a quick recap. All right, let me see. I just got a comment. What's up, Biggity 99? What's going on? What's going on? Welcome and thank you for joining in today. Today, I will be covering the whole setup and settings, going through all the options, explaining what you need check, what you don't need check, and so forth. Because I see a lot of issues that people have can be related to something that you may have or may not have checked in that section. So if you're not really aware of all the features that are there, then that's what I'm going over today. I'm gonna go through each tab, and there's a total of 7 tabs. Gonna go through each tab and touch through them as much as I can with every amount of information that is needed. And I might also give a little extra information. So, but for right now, let me jump and do a recap if you haven't been watching. And this is gonna be real quick on the recap. So this is also part of the intro. So first off, starting on the recap. If you haven't caught the first week that I did that was on everything pre Serato preparation. That is everything that what you need to know before you get Serato and then when you get Serato. And the first one is making sure that your computer specs, the computer that you're going to be using, the laptop, desktop, or whatever, whether it's Mac or PC, is able to run whatever version of Serato that you're going to be using, as well as other stuff that was mentioned too. But like I said, this is just a recap. And if you haven't seen this one, which is part one, pre-Serato preparation, there should be a link over here somewhere, something that should pop up on the screen, and you can go directly to that point right there if you haven't, or if there's something in that section that you missed that may help you with to resolve a solution that you have, then you want to go there. All right, like I said, the first one was computer specs, making sure your Mac or PC is able to run Serato. Then the second one is your hardware, whatever controller or mixer and whatever source players you have, whether you're using a mixer, a controller, a mixer and CDJs, a mixer and turntables, or whatever you're using, this is the section that you want to go to find out and to figure out which version of Serato that you're going to need, because there are some controllers, the lower end controllers and devices about 500 and under, they will be able to be used with Serato DJ Lite, which is a very light version. If you're a professional DJ or whatever, you don't want to do light, you want to get the full version. So at that point, that's the only thing that you can use. You would have to buy an extra license, which could be it may run at sometimes from $100 up to 250 or maybe even more, depending on if you get the full package to where you have everything that Serato offers that you can use to move on. So the hardware covers that and a little bit more. So, like I said, the link up there, make sure you click on it if you need to go to that section for those questions. And then also, once your computer specs is good, once you have the right hardware that you want to use, then you need to get your account set up. And this right here includes your account, your getting your licenses, how many licenses can you use per account, and also, if you have issues, and this is a lot of the pre stuff can be used post too, because a lot of people have these problems mostly in the post than first time users, because first time users are going to be able to walk through this real quick, but you may have some of the stuff that may come back on you once you've used Serato and you can't figure out how to do it. Like, you're trying to use it on a laptop and it says you must register or you have too many devices. This section right here will help you out on that. And then lastly, and not least, drivers and firmware. You want to make sure that your drivers and your firmware for your device and also Serato is available. Now, a lot of people say, well, Serato doesn't need drivers. Yes, Serato doesn't need drivers, but your hardware does. And also, at sometimes, Serato may forward the drivers to you. Now, in the event of that case, I would say ignore what the drivers that Serato may give you, because they may not be the up-to-date drivers that the manufacturer of the hardware gives you. So what you want to do, you want to go to the hardware website, Pioneer, Roland, Denon, Newmark, whatever, and you want to download the drivers directly from them. I had this problem recently. The computer on right now is an AMD Ryzen 7 desktop with 32 gigs of RAM and so forth. So when I built this system, I never could get my Range 62 mixer to work. And whenever that happened, I would just download. Serato will pop up and say, here are the drivers for your Range 62 mixer. Click here to download. And that's what I did. I went and downloaded the drivers that Serato recommended, thinking that, hey, these are the drivers that I need. I need drivers for this mixer and so forth. Download the drivers. The mixer still does not connect. It still says waiting to connect. And then after a while, I get a blue screen of death and the computer shuts down. And that kept happening over and over again. And something one day told me, go to Rain site and check out and see what drivers that they had. And they had Windows 10 update drivers on the site. I went, removed the version of the 62 drivers that I had on the computer, installed the ones that were given from Rain, Boom. No more issues, period. The problem was completely resolved. So then at that point, I was ready to go. And I'm sharing this with a lot of you guys that may have those issues. As for between the time that that happened and this point, I have referred people, probably at least 3 to 4 people that have had similar issues to where they may have had the same message. And I said, hey, this is what I did. Go to the manufacturer website, see if they have different drivers and get them from there. So anyway, like I said, that right there covers the part one. Part one pre-Serato preparation. If you need anything from this section, go to that video. What I probably will be doing as I finish, I'll be breaking up each one of these sections into smaller videos. So there may be like just on the Serato 101, there may be like 20 to 30 videos that you can go, but you can go to each whatever it is that you need to know instead of going to one video and then to that one video, you're finding what you need there. I either have it to where it's part one, part two, part three, part four, or it's part one this, part one this, part one this, part one this, then part two this. It depends on how the editing comes out once I have this edit. So, like I said, this right here, this covers part one pre-Serato preparation. And then I started on part two. Part two is music and crates, separation, organization, and management. And starting off with that, we started off creating music folders and crates. Serato is not as hard as you think for creating your crates. I went through 2 different methods in this section that shows you how to create your crates very simply and easily. So if you need that, the link is up here. Check it out for that section. After that, analyzing crates. Now, as for what I did with analyzing, I did it in 2 different areas. I started out with a MacBook that was very slow, 2010 MacBook, 8 gigs of RAM. Uh, just just analyzing, I think maybe like 13 songs. It was a short amount. It wasn't a whole lot of songs. And it took a while. So then I also went back and redid analyzing again from Windows. And you'll notice a dramatic difference between analyzing on a MacBook dual core and analyzing on a desktop PC Ryzen 7. So go and check those out. That's analyzing crates, getting everything organized. I'm not gonna really go into that much detail, but you know where to go. And then next, organizing your crates, how to organize your music, how to categorize. Also went through different aspects of how to organize. So organizing your crates, and then also management of your crates, how to keep everything organized, how to keep everything from basically becoming scattered. So when you're adding new music, you know exactly where to put it based on the crates. Now everybody does their crates differently. You go with whatever method that works for you. And then lastly, not least, troubleshoot. A lot of people have problems um, where they may move files from their internal to an external, and then Serato can't read their crates. I went into some of that, and also other stuff to where when you move or relocate music, what's the best method on how to get that back. And this right here covers part two on music crates, separate setup, organization, and management. And then part three, which last week of part three, we went into the GUI or the graphic user interface and the control deck functions. So the whole main screen of Serato, it's except for your crates and library. All that was covered in part two. In part three, we covered everything above the library, all your decks, your play buttons, your cues, all that stuff from the top of the screen where the time and your CPU bar and setup and all that downward. So in that, like I said, we covered the GUI, the whole GUI interface or graphic user interface is what it's called, and then also your control deck functions. And that covers it right there. And like I said, the link, if you need information on any of these, you'll see a link that will pop up somewhere along here across the top that can take you directly to the sections that I'm talking about at that time. So now we are about to get started on part 4. And this is the last section for the 101. Everything else after this will be a 202 or a 102 or whatever. It'll be more advanced than okay. I left something out. Okay, it'll be more advanced than the 101. The 101 is just covering the basics from getting started up to the point where you're actually playing music. The 102 or 202 or whatever I will call it will be actual functions. And I had a card around here where I took notes and I wrote down most of the stuff that I will be covering in the 202, and I do not see it. It is around here somewhere. But anyway, like I said, this right here is the last part, and this will complete out everything as for act with the actual Serato program alone. And this is the setup and setting screen. The screen that you have when you go to make changes and configuration. So let me take a quick sip real quick and check out some of the comments I have, and then we can get started. All right, let's see. What's up, Eric? We got DJ Eric Prince in the house. Live from New York City. Live from Harlem. All right. So now let me get my Serato open so we can go ahead and cover this last section. Oh, I already have it open. Okay. Do my share screen. All right. Now, like I said, this is part 4. Part 4, we will be going through the setup and setting screen. Now, let me make a note on this. Right now, I have no hardware connected, and I have 1, 2. Let me count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tabs. Now, whenever you have hardware connected, mixer, controller, or whatever, anything that you have connected that will connect to Serato, you will have additional tabs that will pop up. There'll also be that you may also have different screens in different settings that may differ from what I may have, because each mixer, each manufacturer may have their own personal so forth control panel to where you can make changes with the actual hardware. So you want to look into that if you need to make changes, because I may not have it on this screen. The only thing that I will have will be related to the 62 mixer that I will be using for hardware here. So, all right, let's start with the first one. And just to make it a little easier, now I have not gone through, this is all going to be ad lib. I haven't really research a lot of this stuff, but a lot of the stuff is what I know from experience. But whenever you have a problem with Serato, or we're having a problem understanding as per se, you can always go to the help and then click the drop down for help and then click on show tooltips. Now, whenever you click on show tooltips and you hover over something, you will get you will get a window. You will get a window that will pop up, and that window will basically explain everything that you need to know at that point. Now, I don't know whether you can visually see this. I will read most of the stuff if needed to be. Um, in the edit, I will probably enlarge the screen so it can be seen real easily. But this is a lot of the stuff is general that that you may encounter in Serato. Now, the first one that we're going to go to, and the first tab that you get is DJ preferences, and I forgot the S. DJ preferences. DJ preferences. And a lot of stuff is a lot of general stuff. There's not too much here that you may tamper with or whatever. So other than maybe the sync mode would probably be the one thing that you may have to change every now and then. But let's go through each one just in case. All right, now the first one that you have under control preferences is playback keys using shift. And this is what it says: enable this to prevent your keyboard from accidentally triggering the keyboard shortcuts: play, pause, bend, pitch plus and minus, rewind, fast forward, censor, and jump to cue points. If you do not have shift down or caps lock on, pressing a key will take you to the track whose first letter matches that key, if column sorted alphabetically. Now, what this feature does right here, this feature basically tells you if you have your key, if you have your shift key on, that's when you can use certain features. Now, here's where this may become a problem, or this is probably where a person may experience that they have this checked, but they didn't realize that they have it checked. So, for instance, if you have a problem and you're trying to use your shortcut keys, and your shortcut keys aren't working just by pressing the key, this would probably most likely be that issue. You would need to come into settings and uncheck this, because in order, when you have it checked, you will have to use shift and that key in order to do it. This prevents you from doing any accidentally mistakes with your set or whatever. If you have deck one that's currently playing and you accidentally hit the W key, and or if you hit the Q key, and if you hit the Q key, it's going to play in reverse. And you may not understand what happened, how did it happen, or whatever. You may have accidentally hit it, and that's what it did. So at that point, you want to make sure that you may want to have that, you may want to have it checked. And let me make sure that I explain that right. Yep. Yep. So any of your keyboard functions, any of your functions that you do with your keyboard will require you to use. And let me bring my keyboard full screen. Any of your keyboard actions that you use, you would need to hold down shift and also hit your key. So it will require a two key function with the main button. The main key that you would need to hit is shift before hitting something else, especially if you're doing something that's off keyboard or off Serato. It may accidentally, you may be going into a program and typing something. You may have a DMX program, or you may have a texting program, and it'll accidentally stop or whatever key that you hit and make those changes. So you want to make sure that you have that selected, so you won't have that problem to happen. Now let's move on to the next one, because this is going to be kind of long. All right, now, and let me go, and I want to have mine's unchecked. Okay, where's my cursor? Oh, hold on, lost one of my batteries. All right. So I want to leave mine checked. I want to leave mine checked because I'm working on, I may be typing stuff in the next few minutes, and I don't want to hit a key and then something start playing from my Serato. So I only want to use my keyboard shortcuts with Serato only when necessary. Now the next one, lock playing deck. Use this option to prevent accidental loads, track loads, or ejects when playing tracks in multi-deck modes. If the lock if the lock playing deck option is selected, you can only change the song on the virtual deck that is not playing. So what this does, if you're using multiple decks, or if you're playing with multiple tracks or whatever, this basically locks down one of those decks so that you don't accidentally remove it or do anything to it while the other one is playing. So say for instance, your your left deck. Your left deck is an odd deck. That's deck 1 and deck 3. Your right is even, 2 and 4. If you're playing on 1 and 2 is also playing, but then you want to cue in 3, you want to make sure that you have this to prevent anything happening to that deck while it's playing. So yeah, you want to make sure that, and let me make sure I use this option to prevent accidental track loads or ejects when playing in multi. If the lock playing deck option is selected, you can only change the song on the virtual deck that is not playing. Yep, that prevents any accidental changes that you may have. So having that selected will prevent that from happening. And since I only have 2 decks, I don't need to worry about that. That's only if you're playing on a controller, or if your mixer is a multi-channel mixer and you have more than 2 decks that you're using. All right, the next one, sort cues and loops and chronological order. I think that's basically self-explanatory. And you would want to check that option in order for your cue points and your loops to be in chronological order. So that's basically when you hit your sort cues and loops in chronological. Okay, so if you hit a cue point, it will put it in the order that it came in. So say if you have 2 cue points already, but you go back and you add a cue point that's within between those 2 points, then it will put that cue point in for second and move the one that you previously had for second into third, to where it will be in chronicle order by time. And let me go to the decks and show you what I'm talking about. Oh, I'm in the wrong place. All right. So Go here, and I don't have anything selected. Let's turn this off for a second. And say, for instance, I'm just going to put a track up here so we can see it. And I don't have any cue points on it. So say if I did a cue point right here, and let's move further down the timeline. Say if I did a cue point right here. Now, if I'm right about that feature, if I wanted to add a cue point, another one between that time, say right here, then it will do that and move this one. It will move 32 seconds to number 3. Now, it may not do it because I don't have it. I don't have it checked. I'm gonna try it with it checked and without it checked. I don't have it checked. So let's try it with it checked and without it checked. All right. Okay, right here. See, I got start from right here and 32 seconds right here, and then 14 seconds right here. So let's go back and check it. It may change when I check it. It may change the next time that I do it. Nope, it did it right then. So having that selected will have all your cue points in order. Now, if you're doing like tone play or word play or whatever, and you have your cue points set to where it's based on tone and the tones may be different, you may want to have it checked, you may not want to have it checked. But if you're doing like a basic mix and you want it to have to where all your cue points are in chronological order, then you would want to have that checked. And by me going through each of these functions also can give you an answer to a function, because like I did right here, somebody may not want to have, and let me do it again. I want to put a cue point. Let me move my marker further down. Let's say close to the end. But say if I want to add more cue points later on, like, okay, that's my last cue point. My last cue point is at almost 150. And I may have found a spot somewhere up here. I want to add a cue point and say I want to put a cue point right here. So when I put it in that cue point, it should move 149 to where it's last. And it did. See, because I did 142. But if I go back and uncheck that feature, then let's see, let's move another cue point. Let's do another one before the last one. And see, it's doing everything out of order. Everything, this is all what I did before with the option check. This is what I did after. And as you can see, it's all out of order. But once I go back and make sure that option is checked, everything is in chronological order. So that's what that feature does right there. And I want to remove all these because I don't need cue points on that. But that right there explains that function right there. So either you can have it checked or not have it checked. It depends on what you're using. If you're just doing average mixing, then you may want to have it checked so you can jump to certain parts of the mix. But if you're doing something to where, say for instance, you have your mix, you don't have them listed by time, you give them actual name. Like say for instance, the first one is the intro, and say the second one is the first hook, and then the third one can be a breakdown or whatever. You may want to move those in some type of order that may be different than what the chronological could be. So that way you either have it checked or you would have it unchecked. All right, now the next one, enable hot cues. And I had that one checked, so let me make sure I check that one back. And what we say about that. All right, it says when hot cues are enabled, you can set cue points to empty cue point slots using 1 through 0 keys without the needing of pressing the control key. Oh, so this is all right, okay, so this is just your hot cues. This is using your hot cue keys. And let me do a quick example on that. By having it checked, let's go back to my deck again, and let's start. Oh, wait, nope, don't want to do it that way. All right, let's turn this back off. All right, jump to the front, and let me turn my hardware on so I can use the scroll function instead of using the key. Get me a quick sip. All right. All right, so now, all right, are we connected? Oh, that's right. I have this connected to another laptop. Hold on a second. I got to change over. I was wondering what was happening. Got to connect to here. All right, there we go. So, all right, now with me pressing my keys, and did I have it checked or not have it checked? Because it's not responding. I think I didn't have it checked. Nope, I had it checked. Enable hot cues. Wait. Now I got to go and uncheck here because now I'm running into the issue where if I just press the button alone, I would have to hold down shift and hit the number key. So now, okay, there we go. And I can move further ahead. And that covers 1 through 5. Of course, you have up to 8 hot cues, but using your keys, you only get 1 through 5. Once you go 6 through 10, you're going on to deck 2. So let's go ahead and delete and try that again. Oh. And do it unchecked. This time it probably won't let me do it because I disabled it. So, yep, it's not. So if you're somebody that uses your keyboard, uses your keys to do your hotkeys, you would want that checked. But if you don't, you'll see it's not in the keys, and it's not let me do that. So I mean, I use it fairly regularly, so we're gonna leave that checked. And moving on to the next one, track end warning, which this one is somewhat self-exclamatory. Check this option to flash the track progress the track progress indicator around the outside of the virtual deck when you are 20 seconds from the end of the track. This does not apply to tracks less than 1 minute long. All right, here's an example of that, and I'm gonna have it clicked. Now, nowadays, people may not want to have this check because nobody never lets the track play that long. So I'm gonna let this track play. I'm down to, let's see, where are we? 16. Let's go up a little bit higher because it says 20 seconds. All right, 25. I'm gonna start playing from this point, and when I get to 20, the control deck GUI should start flashing. I've got it on internal. All right, there we go. All right. 24, 23, 22, 21, 20. And that's what you want to happen. Now, also to make note, to let y'all know, I'm using the Rain 12, and you will probably have this to happen to your controller or your whatever decks that you're using that can do this. My start and stop button also flashes. So I get a visual without having to look at the screen. So you would want to, if you play tracks close to the end, you may want to have this check, but in this day and age, a lot of people are in and out on the first verse. After the first verse, they're in and out. So you may want to have that check or unchecked. Now the next feature, disable needle search during playback. All right, and disable this search. It disables the search strip on your controller when a track is playing. You can still use the search strip function by holding down Shift key. So basically, all this does, if you have like NS7 or well, basically any controller, I think all controllers have some sort of strip search at the top and the corners to where you can fast forward and rewind back in the track with just the swipe of a finger. What this does, this disables it so you won't accidentally hit the strip search and move the track to some place where it's not supposed to be. And in the case like that, I would say yeah, that's kind of iffy. If you're using it like with me, I have the Rain 12. So the strip search does two functions. It does the strip search mode where I can move back and forth between the track. I can jump to certain points in the track, and then it also can do hot cue feature. And I have to hit the cue mode button in order to toggle back and forth between the two. But let's say I reached over and I didn't hit the cue mode button when I thought I did, and I touched the strip search. It's going to make that track jump to whatever point that I touched it on. So I would need it checked. I would need this option checked at that point. But right now, I don't really need it. This may be something that maybe a beginner DJ or whatever may want to cover or may want to have enabled. But right now, I don't need it. Now the next one, show beat jump controls, and it says show beat jump controls and performance screen. Now, show beat jump controls. All right, let's check this because I don't think I ever use. Oh, okay. I see what it is. This right here coordinates with that. This is basically your quantizing section. You can change this, and you can make it. Um, if you're musically inclined and you know about beats and notes and stuff. You could do one beat, you could do 1/16, 1/8, 1/4 of a beat, half of a beat, one beat, two beats, on up to I think 4 beats. So what it has one beat by default. I'm gonna go ahead and check it so we can see what it is. I have it at 1 beat. Turn this off, go back. All right. This track is loaded. And I'm not at the top. And I may not have this analyzed for that. Where's this feature on there? All right, let's see. Show beat jump controls. Where is it? I have seen this once before. Wait, let me make sure that I'm looking at the right thing. I think I see it. I just may be over. Nope, I didn't see it. Because it should put another function on the screen and I may be overlooking. Okay, I see it now. I see it. I see it. I was overlooking. All right, so this is that function right here. And let me turn this on because I don't think I covered this last week because I didn't have it checked. This is your beat jump forward and backward. And what this does, you can jump forward ahead within a certain time within that beat. And I have never really used this. This may be something I don't think too many people use a whole lot. Um, it's almost like a backwards or a forwards loop function. Okay, now since I don't have a BPM, I got to have something that has a BPM on it. And that's probably why I couldn't see it because I was looking right here. This is 2 beat and there's 3 beat. So let's go backwards. Turn this off again. Would I have that set on? Okay, that went. Okay, it did go. Okay, it did go back a beat. These are beat grids. These are the beat grid marks right here. So right here, this is 3 beats. I'm gonna go back. Well, no, this is not accidentally. This is not actually 3 beats, but let's start right here at the beginning. This is the first one. I want to jump ahead 3 beats. 1, 2, 3. So that should 1, 2, 3. And that's what it does. Now, what I'm looking at right here, this 1 and 2, that is the actual beat grid marks. The marks and these marks, the beat jump is the actual grid, but the way that it's labeled here, 1 beat, is for every mark. Now, if I want to change it and make it shorter to a half a beat, a quarter beat, the eighth of a beat, or whatever, I can, but necessarily I don't. Now, I don't know who uses this or what was the purpose that they came up with, but I may need to write this down and do a little research later as for how we can use this. So let me grab a card so I can start writing stuff down. So right now, beat jump. Is something I want to look at later. All right, now in the same section on control preferences, we also have some stuff to the right, and this may be important. I saw somebody earlier this week mention something about the gain. The gain on Virtual DJ was lower than Serato, and they got all types of comments. Like somebody said, "Well, just turn it up," and another person said, "Well, basically go in and right here you can adjust your auto gain." Now, auto gain is basically where you have your gain set to where when you are here, your gain that's and it's not there because I have where's my I usually have a master gain. I don't see it now, but anyway, your gains here and here, and you have a master that runs across there, are usually shown for that. Now, by having this checked, you're setting all your gains to be at this level, whatever level that you have set right here. You can have it at the recommended, which is 92 dBs, or you can have it at a quieter, 89, or a louder at 98. You will only the reason that I would see that you're using this is if the controller or the mixer that you have has a low output, or you may have sound issues with it. And so if it has a lot of noise in your tracks, then you may want to adjust it down. If your gains and your volumes on your mixer, your controllers aren't putting out loud enough, then you may want to turn it up louder. All right, let me read what it says real quick, and then I'll move on. It says, as a part of the overview building process, Serato DJ automatically calculates an auto gain value for each track. This value represents the gain adjustment required to match the perceived loudness of the track to a reference level. If you use if the use auto gain option is checked, each time a track containing auto gain data is loaded to the deck, the track gain knob will be set to 0 value that matches the level of audio in the track to the reference value selected from the drop down list to the right. The drop down list allows you to select from 89 dB quieter to 98 dB louder. However, 92 dB default settings is recommended for this value. And like I say, this is probably one thing you don't want to change unless you have issues, and it's most likely you need to compensate for it with some type of increase or decrease in your gain in the program. Now, also right below that, you have braking, and this is only going to apply to certain gear. Just like you don't see it lit up here, this will probably be with if I had my NS7 or something as for a controller that has brake on it, it would apply. But right now, it's not going to. Well, it does apply to where I can adjust the braking time in Serato DJ and the stop time. So the start time, and this is basically simulating a turntable, is for how fast it takes to build up speed, how long it takes to slow down. So this is startup, and this is like either from immediate stop to like a wind down to where you turn the power off. And I don't necessarily I wouldn't mess with any of these, but you may find a purpose that you may need them. But the reason that I'm mentioning them is because if you have an issue, then you may want to check and see if you accidentally have this set to where hey, my deck is starting up really slow. Just like now, I'm pressing my I'm pressing the start button, and my 12 is starting up. It started up real slow. Now it's coming to the point where it is at its original pitch, but it started up real slow. It started up from a wind up. So that I do not need. And that is the start time. Your start time will be very slow if you have that. So I would say don't make sure that this is completely off if you don't use it already. Your start time is gonna make it go slower. The more you add, it's gonna wind down very slow to fast to where it just. So you usually don't want to mess with these, but in the case that you have an issue, this is one of the items that you would need to look at for to resolve that issue. Now going down more to the bottom, and these are items on song load and virtual deck speed. Um, play from, and this is on song load, to play from start, which basically is self-explanatory. This setting forces loaded tracks to play from the beginning. If the setting is not enabled, the track will play from the same point as the track currently loaded. This option is overridden by instant doubles and play from first cue point options. And this right here, basically, it starts you to play from the start, from the beginning. And then you have instant doubles. When this option is selected, you can load a file onto one virtual deck that is already loaded on the other virtual deck. The file that you will load will play from the same position as the first file. This option overrides play from first cue point and play from start. So you can only have one of these. Well, nope, you can have all of them. I thought that you could only have one, but you may only need one. Now the instant doubles is one that a lot of people use a lot. The instant doubles is where you playing a track and you want to switch over. You playing on track A, and let me move so y'all can see me moving. You're playing on track A, but you want to move it to track B. Say if track A is your dominant hand and you want to do a scratch or bring in the next song on that track, then you switch it over to B. While it's currently playing, you hit the instant double, and then that track will be currently playing in the same time as that one. Then that way you can stop this one, and this one will keep on going. This one will carry on. That way there's no interruption in your transition. All right, now the next one, and play from first cue point. This it's and these are on track loads. Whenever you have cue point set, it will start from the first cue point. So you may have a track that may have like an intro before the music starts. What you want to do, you want to put a cue point to where the music starts so you can start at that point. If you don't want to have the non-musical intro in it, then it will start at that point instead of starting at the very beginning. So you want to make sure that you have that. And then also on whenever you load a song, this one right here, turn off effects. And what that does, it disables or it turns off your effects whenever you load a track. This way you won't accidentally have an effect playing on a track that you don't want it to play on. You will have to manually go in and put in the effect that you want to use once you have that track playing. Now, some of these features you do want to have, some of these features you don't want to have. Like I say, this is all when you have an issue that you can look at this point and say, oh, I got so and so checked. That's why it's doing that. So this is where you would come and then make those selections from there. Now, the next one, the over on the right, virtual deck speed, you can change the speed of your, and I don't know exactly where this may take place or why would you need it, but you can make your deck speed run at 45. You want to leave it at 33 and a third because that's the average speed that most tracks will play it. I can only see if you recorded a track at 44, 45 RPMs, or if you need it speed up and you don't want to use, and I don't know why you don't want to use what's on your deck or what's on your turntable, because even there, let's see, I want to see something. I'm I'm changing this option on my I'm changing this option on my Rain 12 to see, and yep, it does. When yep, I thought it did. It did for a second. But anyway, I don't see a reason to have this. But in the event you have an issue and your deck is going fast and your 45 button is not enabled on your deck, but it's still going fast, you don't see anything on your control decks on the GUI, then come in here and make sure, come to this section and make sure the 45 is not enabled, because right there it will change your virtual decks to that speed. So you want to make sure that you don't have that enabled. Okay, I see we got a question. That depends on the genre. Some dance records were pressed at 45. But here's the, and this is Steven that was asking a question. Subconscious, DJ Subconscious. Now, okay, some dance records were pressed at 45, but say for instance, if you're using Serato, then you don't need a 45 because the track the track was recorded, or the track was created when it was created at an MP3. It was created at that particular speed, whatever that speed is. It was, it should be, yeah, yeah, it should be to where you shouldn't have to change it. Only if maybe somebody recorded it and they created the MP3 in 33 and a third. And when you played it back, it played at 33 and a third, and you're like, okay, this is too slow. Then you hit the 45. That will be the reason that I would see that, and I still don't understand at what point why would you need to do a 45. And you got to remember, this is Serato. So with Serato or a DVS, you don't need, even if it was recorded at 45. Okay, this is what I'm seeing at this. Okay, let me see, because you asked another. Okay, well, we were used to playing with the turntable at 45, so we used to use Serato at 45 out of habit. So that reason someone would want to do it is what I'm saying. Okay, now here's the thing. If you're ripping a track, and if you're ripping a 45, I don't know where my 45s are upstairs. Say if you have a 45 record, if you're playing it, if you're ripping it at that 45 speed, it's going to be ripped to where when you play it back, you can play it at 33, because 33 is the average speed. Now, if you ripped a 45 at 33, then it's going to play at a 33 speed. Then you would need to use your 45 to speed it up. But I don't see why somebody would rip a record or a single at the speed to where it's not being played audible or it's not being played at that original. um it would not be played to where you wouldn't have to make any speed changes in order to have it played. Now, if it's somebody, say for instance, they want their decks to operate at 45. Yep, I understand it, but I don't see the point. And I haven't really seen or heard anybody really mess with this feature. So right now, I'm just saying with most, because most DJs, if they have singles that were created at a 45, they were probably ripped to where they will only play at 33 instead of 45. Instead of a 45 being ripped at 33, the 45 was ripped at 45. So then that way, when it was played back as an MP3, it's only played at 33. If you had a 45 that was ripped as a 33, which means that there was a pitch, there was adjustment in the pitch there, and then once you played that 45 at the 33 volume on that in that MP3, then you will see that, okay, this is this is wrong. Let me hit the 45 button. You hit the 45 and it plays at that original pitch. All right, let me see. So what I'm saying, the option is just about playback. We used to use Serato playing at 45. Let me see, because I'm still not. I have never used 45. To be clear, when you say most DJs, you're saying hip hop. Statement doesn't. Right, you're saying apply to dance music. Okay, dance music may be something different. I'm talking about, hip hop and R&B, because there are 45s, and those 45s may be the old school, the Motown, anything from the 80s back to the 40s or the 30s. That is what I'm talking about. If dance music DJs use that, then that's what they use. So I heard someone changing to 45 from what it is if they're playing. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. That's if, say for instance, if you don't have the pitch range, like on the range 12, it has a 8, 16, and 50. If they want to make it jump real high, if they want to make it jump real high to where is the pitch is real high, or the speed, then that's what they use. I think I've seen some cases like that, but I haven't seen it with Serato. So I mean, in common use, most may not use this, and if they have a problem to where if they have a problem to where the speed has increased and they have 33 push and their pitch is on zero, everything is on zero, but the speed is still going crazy, then this is the option that they might want to check to make sure that is checked to where it's supposed to be. All right, now the next one, this is recording based stuff. This is if you're using Serato to record. And this is going to be all based on your preference. And you got different bit rates and file formats. If you could use a lower bit rate, which is 16 bit, or you could use a higher bit rate. Um, Says 16 is default. I would go with 24 for a higher resolution, unless you don't have a lot of space and you recording extremely long mixes, which from what I've understand with Serato and recording, it breaks it up into, I think, 3 hour segments to where it breaks it up into 3 hour segments to where you don't have one big long mix. And as for the file format, it all depends on what you want to use to play back. The AIF is an Apple based format. The Wave is a universal. That's probably the difference between it. There may be more characteristics there. But like I said, I don't want to even go into all details. This is on recording. This may not be something that you may see a trouble with unless you have if you have it set on 16 and it doesn't, your recording doesn't sound clear, then you want to move it up to 24. So then that's what you want to come and do here. Now with the file formats, that all depends on whether you're playing it back on. If you're playing it back in like a media player and it doesn't recognize AIFF, then you want to do it to Wave, because like I said, Wave is more like a universal Windows base that can be played on anything. But AIFF may not be able to play with Windows Media Player or whatever media player that Windows have without having to download different codecs and plugins in order to do that. Now, let me take a sip on this one, because this one is one that people cringe about a whole lot, and that is sync. A lot of people like to leave their sync off, but with Serato, you got several other options that you may want to have your sync left on due to various circumstances. Now you got the option to leave your sync off, disabling it, and removes the sync buttons from the deck. The SP6 player sampler sync button will be grayed out and disabled. So sync, when you have sync off, is disabled everywhere. It's disabled on your control decks. It's disabled in the sampler player. Now, when you have simple sync, pressing sync in simple sync mode will match both BPM values and transients of your tracks together. If you have dropped your next track, and let me do this real quick so I'm not looking so further down the screen. Oh, I want to move it over on this side. All right, here we go. Pressing sync and pressing sync in simple sync mode will match both BPM values, and transients of your tracks together. If you have dropped your next track in, but is not quite in time, by pressing the sync, you can perform an automatic beat sync. Beat sync works by snapping two closest transients together and matching the BPM. There will be no beat position indicator with simple sync. So it basically matches it up. If the next track that you're playing doesn't is the BPM is not matched, it will match that together. So it's basically a simpler way of having your sync in use. Smart sync, blue indicators which decks are currently in smart sync mode. Track has a beat grid. This will snap the beat grid, tempo, and bar position of this track to any other track in sync mode and require accurate beat grids. See the edit beat grid. Adjusting the platter and playhead while a track has sync engaged will disable smart sync and put you into tempo sync. Pressing sync again will re-enter smart sync mode. Now, smart sync mode is a lot more difficult because to use smart sync mode, you got to have your beat grids. Your beat grids, which is shown right here, have to be in line. So you have to make sure that your beat grids are snapped either on the kick or the snare, whichever one that you want to use, to where it's boom, tap, boom, tap. You want to make sure that it's aligned, because in the case where you may have music that's playing live and they're not quantizing it, or they're not playing to a metronome or whatever, it's just basically freestyling with no type of click or sync track, then your beat grids will be out of line, especially if you have tracks to where the beats aren't consistent. Like the beats that I have right here are the tracks that I have right here are turntablist track. Now, most of the tracks were made where the beat was created by the turntablist, to where it was either scratched or looped, or it may have been a beat juggle to where that track was created. So I wouldn't use no type of sync or no type of beat grid or whatever with this track, but it may change with other features. So I have simple sync as it created. I have simple sync clicked, but I may go back and change it because I may want sync off. I may not want to use sync ever. Now, in the event you want to use sync, and there are some instances that you want to use sync. Like, say for instance, I'm using my SP6. I'm using my sampler. I would go click simple sync, and then I would turn on my sampler right here, and I would want this track because I'm using these two tracks. I have decks already that are mixing, but I want this track to mix as well. At that point, I would want to sync. I would want whatever this track 5 is to sync with this detonator track. So the BPM here will match the BPM here. That will be one reason that I would want to use that. So I would leave that right there. And over here to the right hand side, you have sync preferences. Let me turn this off for a second, because I'm down at the screen where, okay. You may not have seen the smart sync. I just went through these two. You may not have seen it because I had it covered up. But right now I'm on the snap to beat grid. Now, snap to beat grid means that, and it won't work for this all the time. You may have to go in and edit the beat grid. What it does, it snaps the start of a beat or kick or snare or whatever to beat. It may be a little bit off like this, but having this feature, it will tell it to snap to it. And it won't work all the time. It will work sometime. So I would say leave that option checked if you use the beat grid function. All right, it says this will turn on beat grids and simple sync, and that's only for simple sync mode. And your tracks will snap to beat grid when it's sync, when sync is pressed. If no beat grid is present for the track playing, transient snapping will be used. So and it was something that was said that I had wanted to bring up. Okay, so this goes more in hand with the simple sync. This will sync, but it will it's basically your default syncing. You have sync off, you have simple sync, which is more of a default sync. Then you have a more an advanced with the smart sync. The smart sync is where you have to have things a little bit more accurate and in phase. Because if you don't have it accurate and in phase, it's gonna go off. It's gonna go off. So you want to make sure that have snap to beat grid check. If you need to make changes manually, then go to the beat grid editor on that deck where you have that track and make the adjustments there. Manually snap it if you can. All right, the next box, maintain sync on track loads. When this option is selected, the sync will remain engaged when a new track is loaded to the deck. Okay, so this basically, when you load another track, when you load a track to the deck, it will sync in time with the track that's currently playing. So if you have a deck, this deck right here is playing, you load up the next track. This track is maybe 4 or 5 BPMs off. It will automatically sync to the track that's currently playing. So then that way you won't have to make any changes. If you're using sync for that, then you want to make sure that you have that checked. All right, the next one, tempo slider affects all sync decks. Changing the tempo BPM of a virtual deck that is in sync will also change the tempo of all other virtual decks. So basically, whenever you change the pitch slider of one track, it's still going to keep everything in sync by changing on the other ones. So the slider effect will most likely it will change on, and let's try that. Let's see what happens. And I'm playing with sync. All right, let's see. This is 98. I'm gonna take this track, and this may not work. All right, turn off sync here. I'm gonna turn it off. And as you can see right there, my two tracks are synced together. You won't hear any audio because I don't have any audio playing. We're just going to visually look at everything. And I'm going to adjust my slider for this track and watch and see what it does to this one over here. See if it goes up or down. Okay, so it doesn't change the actual fader movements, but as you can see, it's also keeping both tracks in sync. And even though, well, nope, I haven't played it yet. So I think I may need to play it. All right. Okay, it doesn't actually move the pitch fader, but it puts everything in time. And you can see I'm running real slow. This is at 50%. I have the pitch range set at 50, so it's moving very, very slowly. So you can see what it actually doing. If I stop it, I'm off. It's not going to stop it, but that's the only thing with sync. If you stop something, you're completely off. It may catch it, it may not catch it. But only use sync if you need to. A lot of people don't like sync And the fact of that there's a sync button to make stuff easier for people pisses some people off. But you do have, if you play around with it, you can find a use um, for sync if you use it appropriately. And as you can see right now, my beat grids are just like all off. But my pitch is where it needs to be. So actually this track will be syncing just like it's supposed to. So let me go back because I want to turn that function off. Don't need it, but I'm gonna leave this one selected. And I want to turn this one off too. I don't know why I checked that one. But that covers this first section of DJ preferences. And I need to put the marker here. So I did have another one to pop up. And like I said, there are some tabs that will pop up when you have hardware connected. So you'll see that when I get to that point. So this was a point that I needed to have something on, but it won't happen to the next one. All right, let's move to the next tab. The next tab is the audio tab. Now with this tab is I'm gonna go through it briefly. I'm not gonna go into it as in depth because a lot of the stuff is gonna differ depending on what you're using. You have deck setup. If you're using multiple decks, you will have multiple options. I'm only using a Rain 62 with 2 decks, so I have program 1 and program 2. It says match the selection above to the inputs on the back of your mixer to select the control source for each channel or program. Default sources are inputs 1 and 3, which are most likely your first channels for that side. All right, and then you have a device panel. You may or may not have a device panel, or your device panel may differ. The device panel that I'm pulling up now that you can't see because I have the screen capture for the Rain is for the 62. I'm gonna close it, not gonna open it up to go into detail. But if you have any problems and any of the settings here don't show, you don't see anything here, go into your device panel and make sure your settings there are good. All right, now this one, this next one, US buffer size, the latency. This is what you want to change when you have a laptop that's incompatible and your CPU usage is through the roof. If you have a laptop that doesn't have enough RAM or the processor is low rated and your CPU usage here is through the roof, then you want to change your latency size to match up. Your um if your track markers on your record is glitching, if you have any type of um, dropouts, audio dropouts, or even video glitching, then you want to come and adjust the buffer size. Now, since I have 32 gigs of RAM and AMD Ryzen 7, which is equivalent to a Intel 7, this computer can handle with me doing at a 1 millisecond. The average that most people will do is somewhere between 5, 10, maybe even 15. Now, that's going to vary depending on your computer. If you see these problems and it's glitching or whatever, I would suggest come here and make the changes here to your latency until you see better results. The more stuff you have open, this will probably affect it. And then there's and I think this is the same Yep, this is the same panel. If I click on the driver's panel, it takes me to the panel for the Range 62. And you may want to go there and make some other adjustments to sizes for the buffer size. But like I said, that panel, the features here are going to differ depending on what device you have. So if you have any latency issues, delay, lag, or whatever, the USB buffer size is what you want to do. And it says lowering the latency will result in a tighter software response, but will increase the computer loads and may result in low audio quality or dropouts on the lower specs computer. So, like I said, it's something that you have to play with, depending on your computer. If you have a computer that runs hell of a fast, a gaming computer or whatever, you don't have a lot of stuff running in the background, you can lower it. If you have an older computer and is having audio glitches, video glitches, or whatever dropouts, then you want to move it up higher. But 5 milliseconds in the middle is about the average where you may want to start it. And then you can make adjustments from there on. Now, these are options. The next one, audio output. These are options that are new. These are like some of the newer options that have been added to Serato. This one is, and let me uncheck it so you can see. This is Serato 2.4.3. The newest version now, I think, is 2.4.6, and that's not including the beta. The beta is 2.5, which they're still working on with stuff, but there's still 2.4 versions that are moving up until they get 2.5 completed. Now, with this first one, audio option, use laptop speakers, and this is something a lot of people have been requesting for a long time. Whenever you're using Serato in, say for instance, if you're using it and I need to disconnect the hardware for you to see this, right now I just turned off my Range 62. So you can see what I'm about to do now. I'm waiting for it to disconnect. Okay, there we go. That's what I want to see. Now, if you're using this mode right here, and what is it? It's Serato Play. If you're using Serato Play mode 62, and say for instance, if you're on the train or whatever, you're on the road traveling and you want to practice with a mix, you can practice with a mix without the hardware. You have a crossfader right here, you have your EQ, and you even have a filter. And you would use the volume faders here and here in order to adjust the gain on each level. Now, before they added this, you couldn't hear the music coming out of the track. You would be in this mode right here. You would be in this mode right here to where you can play one track, but you couldn't mix. You couldn't do two tracks, and it would be coming out of your speaker. Now, what they've done now, and let me change everything back. What they've done in the audio, and no, with my hardware disconnected, as you can see, I lost a lot of options. There's another option in audio loss, and then I lost my options here. So I'm going to turn my mixer back on so I can get those options back. So make sure if you have an issue, make sure that you have the hardware that you had connected reconnected and plugged in, so you would be able to troubleshoot what the problem was that you had. All right, so all right, there we go. Now use laptop speakers. If you're on a laptop, what this does right here, this outputs the audio through your speakers. you don't have PA speakers, or you don't have a big system connected up to it. You don't have your controller, you don't have your mixer or whatever. You're just doing everything from your laptop. So the sound is going to play out through your speakers. This is that mode right there. And you want to have that checked. Now, let me mention this because I had this issue about a week ago and it drove me back crazy. For some reason, I had this option checked and I was getting an echo. Now, my laptop speakers on this computer, since I'm not using a laptop, I'm using a desktop computer. My desktop computer plays out through Mackie 15 thumps or Mackie thump 15. That's my computer speakers. Now, also, whenever I'm on my decks, it plays out through the same speakers. So what I was getting an echo. I was getting an echo to where both was playing at the same time, but out of sync because one was transmitting out before the other, and I could not figure it out worth anything. I went and checked the mixer, that the line mixer that I have my decks plugged into. I started unplugging everything. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Until I came to this option. I unchecked this option, echo was gone. So make sure that if you're doing a set, if you're practicing the set directly from your laptop before you start to do an event or whatever, make sure that this is unchecked. Because otherwise you have the sound that's playing out through your laptop and you also have it playing out through your speakers. And it may, well, if you're doing it from your laptop, you will probably notice. But at that point you would know, okay, use laptop speakers is checked, I need to go uncheck it. So it will give you an indication to go and uncheck it then. All right, now this last option here at the bottom, this is something that's fairly new too, that if you're streaming, this is something that you may want to look into. And there's some pros and cons to this. I've actually used this recently. I set it up on the 2010 and it actually it actually works with the exception. And the exception is this laptop can't handle using OBS, streaming, and Serato. And that's the thing. You want to make sure if you're using this option that your computer can handle that load. And that's what they made it for. This option make audio available to other applications. What it does, it uses what they call virtual cables. It connects a program to where everything is internally. There's no external connections, there's no cables, no physical cables, no wires or anything that you have to connect. Everything is in one device. You're telling one program to output into another program. And so when you check that, that's the option that you give it. Now, with that, there's a link to where you have to get the virtual cables. There's two types of virtual cables that will work, and these are the virtual cables that are listed here. When you click on this link, it will take you to the Serato website on which cables that you would need to use based on what you're using, if you're using PC or if you're using Mac. One may cost, one is free. The one for Mac is free. The one for PC, there is I think it's like $15 or something like that. It's VAC virtual cables or whatever. I tried it. It was a little bit harder, but I did manage to get the trial work. And y'all know trial, this is where that option came from. If you try to use this on Windows, you will get that trial if you do not buy the full version. But the one for Mac was a free version, and that one is called what I forgot the name of it. But anyway, if you're doing streaming, and usually audio is the hardest thing to try to get, because either you need two different laptops or you need specific type of cable, specific type of hardware in order to port over. But if you can do everything in-house from one device, then this is the option that you want to use. Now, these right here on the left and the right, these are your actual decks, your play decks. And this will mostly apply if you're using needles. If you're using needles, and I don't have any right now, so there's not a lot that I can do to make it simulate what it should be doing. But I can just make the indication here of what you need to do. What you need to do if you're using needles, you need to have a circle that that's here, and that circle needs to be as clean as possible. It needs to be the most rounded circle that you could possibly get, not oval, not compressed, not looped or sideways or whatever. And that's what you have these options right here to make your circle as correct as possible. You don't want it to be oval. You don't want it to be too narrow, too wide, or whatever. You want it to be clean. It needs to be clean around it. And in that case, if it has pickup or dots around it to where it's not a solid line, it may be shaded or whatever, then you need to clean your needles. There's various stuff that you can do to correct this. And I would suggest going into Serato and looking at the chart. There's a chart that you can view, and it will tell you what your problem is. Like if you have a straight line instead of a circle, then you have a channel problem. One of your channels is out, either your left or right. If it's a straight, it could be this one. If it's horizontal, if it's vertical, is one. If it's horizontal, it's another. Also, the zoom, in case that your circle is too small for you to make your change and you want to make it larger, the zoom option makes it a lot bigger. Now, the noise sensitivity, and like I said, this is needles. What you want to do with the noise sensitivity, and you do this before you play anything. What you do, you play a song on one deck. You put your needle on the deck that you're about to test. Like say in this case, I want to do the estimation for noise sensitivity for the left deck. So what I would do, I would play a song on the right deck, and I will play it around the volume that I would normally have it, and let it play. What you're doing right here, you said the noise sensitivity, the I want to say the thud and rumble, but the wow and flutter. You're setting that for each of your decks. So you need something to have playing while you do this, and then you just sit your needle on the other deck. You don't play it. You just sit the needle on the record, and then you hit this estimate button. And then when you hit that button, it's going to fluctuate. It's going to find that point, and you leave it for a few seconds until it gets to a point where it stops, and then you let it go. This one should be uh since I'm on range 12s, I don't necessarily have to move this. I don't have to do with this. Like I said, this is mostly with vinyl. If you're using vinyl, that you want to make those changes. So that's what. And then you also want to do the same thing for your right deck as well. Play your left deck, and then get an estimate on the sensitivity for that side by having the needle on the record, and it will calculate how much sensitivity that it has. So you just hold it down until it gets to the point where it stops moving. And then at that point, you can go from there. Yes, Eric, trial. This is where that trial came from. And I think I was with you when I got it resolved. But the virtual audio cables is where you if you're doing streaming. And these two are probably the newest features that they have, with this one being the most recent. I don't know what version. It may have been 2.3 something, 3.9 or something like that, somewhere close to 4, where they added this in. It may have been 4, but they added now to where you can have your audio, and you can do Serato and have your audio to stream into OBS, Twitch, or whatever you're using from the same device. But like I say, if your computer can't handle it, do 2 computers. All right, so that closes out for, go back to my banners. That closes out for audio. So let's move into the next section. And like I say, you're going to have stuff that's going to pop up when you have your hardware connected. This right here, if I turn off my mixer, it will disappear because it needs hardware connected in order to do this. And so this may vary depending on what device that you're using. Like I said, I have the Rain 12 connected, so a lot of this stuff probably won't even apply. And let's start with the first, vinyl control. I'm not using vinyl, so I can't really um, go with that. But the first one is adjust loops with vinyl. If I was using vinyl, and here's what it says. If you press the in and out button while a loop is active, you can adjust the loop endpoints when while the adjusted loops with vinyl option is selected. You can also adjust the in point and the out point using the control vinyl or CD. With loop active, click on the N button to adjust the input, manipulating the control vinyl, or the CD will now move to the N port. Click the N button to save the new point. Release the control vinyl or CD. It will switch back to controlling transport as soon as the platter is back up to speed. The same goes for the out. So this right here, if you're using your loop points, you can use your vinyl to adjust. And let's see if we can do that. All right, might need to check it. So you can use this to set your loop. And this was something that I was going to cover later. All right, okay, this is beat create. Nope, this is beat jump. Yep, this is beat jump, so I don't want to do this. This is my loop function. So and I'm doing this from my 62. Say if I set my endpoint right there, and do I have my loop on? Oh, I didn't. Okay, and I may only need to, I probably can't do that with the 12s. Yep, this is for vinyl only. I need to be on vinyl. So this doesn't apply, but anyway, if you have vinyl, you can adjust your loops with the vinyl. You can adjust it with your actual vinyl. And now your anti-drift, and I don't think I ever used any of these with my 1200s, but we're going through it anyway. Now, this stabilizes the fluctuation of BPMs when using vinyl CDJs. Now, this is an option that you may want to leave checked because you may have at some point that your BPMs may drift on your turntables. Say if your turntables are not calibrated correctly, or if for some reason you may accidentally touch or something to change it. This number right here will fluctuate. Now, since I'm using all digital, it's not going to fluctuate. This is not going to change. All right, let's go back. This is not going to change. This is not going to change, and this is not going to change. But with vinyl, I may have it to where my 8% and this percentage and even the BPM is going to jump. So what you want to do, you want to make sure that if you're using vinyl, anti-drift on. Have your anti-drift on so it won't move. Or it will keep it steady, because that was a problem that a lot of people have, it to where, especially if you're mixing and you have two decks that are not calibrated the same, it's going to fluctuate off. Needle dropping, and this is only in relative mode, which um, doesn't apply here because my decks, Rain 12, work in internal mode. They work to where everything is controlled from the computer. There's control tones or clicks or whatever that makes it control. So I would say leave this on. Let's look at the features. I have it off. Why do I have it off? Okay. Uh, when enabled, a deliberate needle drop will position the playhead as the absolute position of the track. As Serato DJ was in ABS mode, as if Serato DJ was in ABS mode, while still being resistant to skipping. So what this does when you're needle dropping, when you're moving your needle back and forth, it um it changes it changes to absolute mode. So in absolute mode, if you haven't seen the last video, you got three different modes. You got absolute mode, which is more of a vinyl mode, a true vinyl mode. You move the needle across the record, it tracks to that point where you move it. You make the needle bounce. If it skips, it emulates vinyl in every way. You're using actual vinyl. That's when you want to use that. If you're using control vinyl, but in a vinyl type setting, like say for instance, you want to jump the record, or you want to make it loop manually, then you would use absolute mode. Now, relative mode is the default DVS mode that you're using in Serato. You move the needle across the record, all it does is just stop playing for a second. You put the needle down, it continues from where it left off. It doesn't track to other points in that track or that album or that record or whatever. It only tracks in it really doesn't track. It stays on that track. So you bounce it on and off, it's like you cutting it on and off. But if you're moving it in absolute mode, you're moving it back and forth across. And then you have internal mode. Internal mode is everything from internally inside the computer. You're not using any hardware. But in this case, with Serato and the Rain and stuff connected with the Rain 12s, it is using the controllers in internal mode. So that's how they're working, because there's no actual audio cables connected. The the control tone is sent via USB. So it's all digital. It's not sent to analog. So if it was sent to analog, if I was using a sound card, a SL box, um, what else? Turntable, CDJ, something that is sending the signal analog, then I would need to go to relative mode. But now with these, I'm using internal mode. Internal mode is if you're doing everything from inside the computer, internal. All right, so leave anal drift on. I guess I leave it on. Okay, that was drop to absolute position. Then you have drop to cue point, which that's self-exclamatory. If you're using vinyl, you put your needle on the record, you are in relative mode, and this is for relative mode. When you put your needle on on the record, it automatically goes to cue point, most likely the first cue point. And let's see what it says about that. All right, when enabled in relative mode, needle dropping into the first 5 1-minute section of the control vinyl will jump the playhead to the corresponding cue points. For example, needle dropping into the second minute on the control vinyl will jump the playhead to cue point 2. So once you get up to every minute, or as you get closer to a track, when you're cue point jumping, it would move to that closest cue point. So at the beginning of the track, if your time strip, your search strip, or your track is somewhat at the beginning, it would jump to the first cue point. If your track is somewhere in the middle, you want to start somewhere in the middle, then you would jump track it to that point as well. So that's not something that I need to do. So I'm going to leave needle tracking off. And then and I also have options that are grayed out. And they may be grayed out because it doesn't apply to this device. But in sticker lock, to enable sticker lock, and I haven't really used sticker lock that much. Sticker lock, it aligns your vinyl sticker with Serato DJ virtual deck spindle position. This alignment is applied when you're loading a track to a virtual deck, and will apply when drop to cue point is enabled. Note, this is a relative mode feature and only applies to control vinyl. So this won't apply to me in this point. And you have let's see. Okay, these are the options. It's listing the options. Spin nearest, spin platter forward or backward to align the first cue point or start of the track with your vinyl sticker. Spin forward, always spin platter forward to align the cue point or the start track with your vinyl sticker, or spin backward. It always spin the platter backwards to align the first cue point or the start track with your vinyl sticker. And then you have sticker lock on instant doubles. Align virtual deck spindle position if you are instant doubling with your vinyl stickers. Now, since I don't have my turntables, I'm not able to simulate that. But if you use let's see. Okay, I had to have it checked. I can use it. Thought I couldn't use it. Well, it said because let's see. This is a relative mode feature and only applies to control vinyl. Now I can have it checked, but um let's see. All right, let's turn this off And let's make some cue points. All right, I made 5 cue points. So where is that my sticker lock? Let's see, turn it off. Nope, that's not it. All right, let's see. Oh, I gotta go and check something. Okay, spin nears. All right, spin nears. Should have. And like I said, this may not work because I don't have. Okay, turn off key lock. Oh, I'm hitting the wrong keys. All right, let me make some changes. Let me see if I'm doing this right. Okay, I may need to add this one to the list of stuff I need to do. So I got beat jump, and let me add sticker lock as a advanced features. This is one I don't see this used all the time, and I don't know a lot of people that use it. So I'm not sure how it works. And like I said, it may not work on here because this is either CD or vinyl stuff. And with this not working in relative mode, I may need to do it from my turntables. But anyway, that is the feature for this section. This is CD and vinyl. Let's go to the next section, which is library and display. All right, library display. The first one at the top, and I could probably go through this one real quick. Show iTunes library. By having this option checked, it will show iTunes in your library. So right here, you see, where's iTunes? Is this it? Nope, that's video. Oh, I don't have iTunes, so it probably will not show it. Nope, I don't have iTunes. So I don't have an iTunes library. But if you have iTunes as your library, you want it to show. Now, I did look at how you can create, because since I don't use iTunes, and a lot of people ask me, how do I get my playlist into iTunes? This is a feature that you want to have off once you create your crates from your iTunes playlist. So I want to have this off. I don't use iTunes. Even if you use iTunes, you don't want to have it on because then it adds more to this column. So make sure that you have it off when you're not using it. Once you create your crates from your iTunes playlist, then turn it off, and it still will recognize it as 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 the same. Now, this next option, this one is a very important one. Protect your library. This is basically a lock for your library. So at this point right now, I can't delete none of these tracks. And I got this one. I got this from Eric, Eric Prince. Thanks for the drum and bass tracks. So say if I want to delete a track out of here, I'm holding down delete. Now look at and I might need to turn this off. Hold on a second. All right, look down here at the bottom as I'm hitting delete. All right, here we go. All right, now I'm hitting delete. It says you cannot edit or delete while protect library is on. Was this right here protects you from accidentally deleting either all or some of your tracks, even your crates. If I remember right, yep, you can't. Only way you can delete your crates is you have to do a control. You have to do a control or a double key in order to do it. But this right here protects your library. So make sure that you have that feature on, because if you don't have it checked, then you're gonna end up removing. You could end up removing stuff out of your library. All right, now custom crates column. This is to create, and let me make sure that this is what I think it is before I get into it. All right, check this option to allow different columns views of each crate. When the option is off or default, all crates will share the same column configuration as all. Thank you. I've been wanting to know this for a while. So this will ask a lot of questions for a lot of people. So custom crates, what it means by here is that, okay, all has a list. All has a list of BPM, key, artist, location, and song. I don't usually like mines like this. I like BPM, song, and artist. And most of the time, I don't even need location. So I'm gonna remove location off of this list. And I see I have another stuff linked, which I go ahead and keep that key. Okay, so these are the main four columns that I want to have. But if you notice, each and every other column are different. So if by having that checked, it's saying that you create every column, every crate, the columns can be reconfigured differently. If I uncheck it, it should change it the way that I had it, that I just changed it in all. So let's go to all. So here, same, same. Of course, it's going to be different because that's streaming. Same. BPM key artist, BPM. Yep, same. Everything is the same. If you're the type person, and this is me, all your crates are column the same, then you want to make sure that you have that unchecked. If you want to create, if you want your columns to be arranged differently, like your BPM on the right hand side, your key on the left, artists, whatever. If you want stuff to be different on each crate, then you would want to have that checked. I've been trying to figure it out for like a while, and something didn't even give me the indication to go here. So if you're trying to have your columns all the same, this option unchecked. All right, the next one, center on selected song. And I don't know why I just checked it, but let's see what it says. All right, send on select a song. When this option is selected, the song library will keep the highlighted song centered when scrolling. Option is selected. The song library will keep the highlighted song centered when scrolling with the arrow keys on your hardware. So basically, all right, let's see. And turn this off. All right, I got that. So if I'm scrolling, and I can't scroll. All right, let's use the down keys. Okay, so at this point, highlighted is whatever I move my down arrow to. So if I go back and check it, center on selected. All right, riff is selected. So if I go up, that still didn't change anything. But it would probably stay there and not move. That's what I thought it would do from what it was saying. Center on selected song. Let me look at that again. When this option is selected, the song library will keep the highlighted song centered. All right, let me see. I got a comment. Let me see if somebody else understands this. Oh yeah, yeah. That one. That was the iTunes question. Yep. It only adds the playlist. I since I don't have iTunes, I don't use it. Yep. Thanks for that, Eric. So I thought somebody was commenting on what I'm on right now. And like I said, a lot of features in here are features that you probably would never use, but if accidentally checked, they can cause problems that you may overlook. So this is just giving you an idea of, oh, well, I remember him saying that if you have this selected, it will cause it to do this. So this will allow me to do more troubleshooting by seeing what they have checked when or giving them the option of saying, oh, well, do you have this checked or do you not have this checked? Then you need to go and make that change there, because right now I'm seeing what that function actually does. Centered on selected song. When this option is selected, the song library will keep the highlighted song centered when scrolling with the arrow keys on your hardware. Okay, now it said with the hardware. So, all right. Uh-oh. Oh, okay. Okay, for some reason now my hardware, my scrolls are not working. Okay, let me see what I've checked. turn this off because right now, my scroll on my mixer is not functioning. All right, let me turn it off for a second, turn it back on. One, two, three. Oh, I know why. Okay. I didn't have my switches. See, sometimes when you see something, okay, still waiting for the mixer to connect. And how do I know when my mixer is not connected? Is that I see it in play mode. And there we go. My mixer is connected. That is my left deck, right deck. Is USB must not be plugged in all the way or something, but I don't need it right now. So that's what it was. I didn't have, I still had it switched over, the mixer switched over to the laptop. So let's check that now. And, no. Unless that's what it meant. As you can see, is okay. I think that's what it meant. It centers. As you can see, my marker, my highlight is not going up to the top until I get to the end. And then it will jump when I get to the very first one. Then it's centered. Okay. Okay. I think I see what's saying. Let me make sure that this is right. Let me uncheck it. And that's one thing you learn stuff from trial and error. Okay. Now I see what it's doing. It's not exactly going to the very top or the very bottom, maybe like 3 from the bottom. As you can see, what it did in the last one, it stayed right here. It stayed in the middle when I scrolled until I got to the very top. When I got to the top, it will jump up. But right here, it's allowing me to go in increments of 1. Then when I get close, not all the way to the bottom, but like 3 from the bottom, it allows me to go down at that rate so I can see the next 2. But if I go back and turn the option on, you see right here, it stays in the center. It moves everything else. Okay, so I see what that's saying. You may want to leave it checked. You may not want to leave it checked, but I'm gonna leave it unchecked because I want to be able to move down. Because in that way, you won't be able to. If I need to move to right here to Dr. Jones, then I would have to to do that instead of going 1, 2, 3. And then once I get centered, well, I don't have it checked now, so it's not doing that. But you can notice, you'll notice a difference. You notice a difference once you have it. Now, the next option includes subcrate tracks. And let me make sure, I think I understand what that one's saying, include subcrate tracks. That when this option is turned on, any crate will also display contents of its subcrate. Okay, I know what this one means. So if you have any subcrates, if I put, and let's go ahead, I'm just going to throw a crate. I'm going to put if any of your crates have crates inside of them, they will show in this column. And I think I have it to where I got to go and uncheck protect library because it's protecting the library, it's protecting me from moving things. As you can see, that's what it does with your. So right there, I took the drum and bass crate and I moved it over to and I gotta corrupt it. Eric, you send me a corrupted file, dude. What's up? Now I probably need to analyze it again, but I'll do it later. But anyway, I took the drum and bass and added it to the backup all. So now the backup all should have all the tracks. Or it doesn't combine all the tracks. The prototypes. Let's see if the prototypes is located in all. Yep, there it is. So this is all the tracks, everything that I had up in backup and all plus drum and bass. And from what it's saying, if I uncheck this, it won't show me. Okay. It doesn't. Your subcrates are different. So that track that I was just looking at, this one, the prototypes, passion, the prototypes, is listed here in drum and bass. Now, since I got this as a subcrate, it should also be listed here, but it doesn't. So basically, it either combines or not combine. It does separate. But why would you, if you have a subcrate, why would you not want everything to be in that subcrate? You will only click the subcrate if you want specifics. So backup at all should have everything. Backup at all only has what's in backup at all. So if I do, let me find. So if I move drum and bass to exclusive as a subcrate, exclusive doesn't show the drum and bass. Only what's in exclusive is what's there. Drum and bass has what it has. So basically it separates the original and your subcrate. So I would want to leave that checked. All right, now over here on the left side, tracks, played tracks. If anything that you have that's played, all these are tracks that I've played. They show up in blue. You can change the option of the color to that, blue, gray, or none. I would suggest using blue because it stands out a little bit more, unless you don't really want them to show. If you don't want them to show, period, they're grayed out. But that looks more close to white than it does anything else, so it doesn't stand out as much. So I would suggest leaving them blue. Let's see what happens. Click none. Click none. You don't even know if they've been played. So leave it at blue by default. All right, now reset. If you click this right here, if you don't want the blue to show every time you open it up, you would click reset played tracks on exit, and every time you close Serato and you open it back up, everything is white. Everything is white. You don't have any played tracks. The played tracks doesn't show from the previous time that you use it. So that's that. And that's on exit. Now, if you want to clear all the played tracks now, you click this button right here. And right now, if I go back to my library, there is nothing that's blue. I've reset everything. No blue tracks. All right, now library text size. If and this is not with me, I have on glasses, but I can see stuff close up. If you're a person that has problems reading the screen, like say for instance, the text is too big on the screen, you would come here to change the size of the text in your library. And as you can see now, everything is much larger. You can make it even larger. I didn't even go to the largest, but you can go from being this size, which that's probably too much, to default, which is here. And like I said, it depends on your eyesight. If you have bad eyesight and you're nearsighted, you're nearsighted, you can only see things far away, but not things close up. If that's how it goes, farsighted. No, if you're farsighted, then that's what you want to have it checked at. All right, in the display section, this is display. First one, show tempo matching display. All right, let's uncheck it. Show tempo matching display. And what has disappeared? Tempo matching. It should have been something here inside the control circles. What? Show tempo matching display. All right, let me see what the tip says. Tempo matching display is visible in vertical or horizontal modes, view modes, matching the peak to align the tempo of playing the tracks. And I'm not in either of those modes. So that's why I couldn't see it. Well, nope, I'm in vertical mode. All right, let's see. Show tempo matching. Oh, okay. Those are the peaks. All right, so I still don't see what disappeared. All right, let's see what's changed. Thought it would have been. Well, thought it would have been the BPM. Nope, nope, nope. 3. What in? Okay, I may need to come back to this because I don't see show tempo matching display. Show the tempo matching the display. The tempo matching display is visible in vertical and horizontal view modes, matching the peaks to align the tempo. Oh, okay, okay. I think I know. I wasn't looking at it. It was right up here. I think it was right up there. Let's see. Yep, that's it. Okay, this is it right here. Tempo matching display. So basically, you're adding and removing this, and this can help you with getting your tempo together, especially if you got two of the same tracks or two tracks that are close. And let's do an instant double. So all right, let's make sure this USB. All right, so I'm gonna turn off the sound so we don't necessarily hear, but we're just doing a visual. All right, as you can see, let's do everything where they're the same. And as you see right there, the tempo is matched up right there at that point, and I don't have that one zeroed in. As you can see, the tempo, and you may want if you're the person that you don't necessarily have to have this because you have this. You can do it from here too, but this gives you an overall view of your tempo to match your tempo right here, because you have your left and your right with your top and down, and if you have them directly in line, then your tempo is matching. But if they're off, if I do like this, then it's going to start to deviate off. And let's go off a little bit more. But this is with your tempo. And there you can see how one is off from the other, even though they can be both together. You can see that they're supposed to be like equally matched, and they're not equally matched. Some of them are short, some of them are long, some peaks are touching in some places that they're not. So if I stop it, then we're going to see one is going to be like completely fade out, and it's not matching. So you may want to leave that on, you may want to leave it off. I don't really pay a lot of attention to it, but I think it was checked, so I'm going to leave it. Now, this next mode, this used to be like an Easter egg type feature, but now Serato has made it complete to where you can do it in selection. And this is in the event that if you don't see your artist name and DJ AM created this, or he used to do this to his vinyl, to where he used to cover up the labels to where if somebody's looking over to see what he's playing, they couldn't see what he was playing because he had it covered up. And this is what you do if you have that feature check and you go and see what song are you playing? I don't see a name. And that's because it takes it out. You don't know what the artist is. It even goes and closes, or I thought it closes out your library too, but I guess it doesn't. Yeah, it just clears out your track and your artist to keep people from watching what you're playing and trying to create your mix or whatever. So that's not really anything that's crucial, but in the event that you don't see the name of your tracks, especially after you've done several tracks, then you probably have that option checked. So you only want that option checked in the event you have people looking over your shoulder. But you're going to have to go and probably uncheck it at some time too. I mean, you can still load your other tracks or whatever, but you want to make sure that that you have that unchecked. All right, now the next one, EQ colored waveforms. This is to indicate now blues are your highs, red are your lows, mid range is like orange and yellows. You have that whole spectrum that's going across. So you're going to have right here are more bassy tones right here and here. This is probably maybe kicks or snares or whatever. You're going to have different stuff at different points. So if you uncheck that, okay, where does it change? Let's see. Uh, let's get my tool tips. With this option, enabled keys will be colored according to their position on the circle of fifths. Unrecognized keys will remain uncolored. Oh, I think that wasn't for that. That was for I think that was for the key. All right, let me go somewhere where I can notice it. All right, this track, I have 4 that's purple, 5 that's purple, green, greenish, and turquoise. Oh, that's the same. I am not sure what this changes. Color key. Oh, that's wrong one. I'm still on this one. EQ colored waveform. I'm not sure which one, what does this change, but I may just end up leaving it. With the EQ color waveform option enabled, the position of the channel EQ controls on supported controller mixer hardware affect the color of the moving waveform and corresponded. The low EQ boost or cuts red, mid affects green, and high. Oh, okay. I think I know what this means. I know what this means. Okay, I got it. When you mess with your EQs on your when you make changes to the EQ of that channel, it also makes changes to the waveforms on your Serato screen. So say with this one, and I'm about to cut the highs. As you can see, it's getting more redder. Now I'm going to bring it back to 0, and now I'm going to add more highs. And you can see it's gained like it's more blue. It's added more blue. Bring it back to 0. Now I'm going to cut the mids. Bring the mids back to 0 and add boost. It basically changes the color of the waveform. Now at this point, I had the lows already off. So as you can see, I had it off, but it didn't change until I touched it. As you can see, my lows is cut. Let me cut everything. I cut my lows. I'm going to cut my mids before it stops. It's blue. I'm going to cut my highs. And that's basically like off. So it basically changes. It basically changes your EQs when you make changes on your hardware. So okay, I remember that. I remember messing with that. So I would leave that on. It may be helpful, but it won't be nothing that you'll be like, oh, I don't understand why this is happening. I want to change it or whatever. It's something that you can go ahead and change. So I would leave that on. All right, now the next one, color key display. With this option enabled, keys will be colored according to their position on. Oh, wait a minute. I'm going backwards. Okay, I skipped one. I skipped that one. Now I'm back to this one that I couldn't figure out. With this option enabled, keys will be colored according to their position on the circle of fifths. Unrecognized keys will remain uncolored. Okay, now this, I know what this means. I know exactly what this means. This has to do with your key. This right here creates the color of the key based on what the color is and its value on the Camelot chart. So this is in relation to the color. It basically makes sure that the key is also the color as it appears on the Camelot chart. And I don't think it's going to turn. Okay, that's what that does. That just makes it, and it makes it a little bit more attracting to look at when you have the color. It adds more color to your deck or whatever, to your files, and also being able to match up stuff by keys. Because other than this, you have to look at the actual value of it. But if you have it checked, then you're actually looking at color. So you can change it to where, see, there's the color. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5. That's at 9A. So that's what that feature does. I knew it was something I was familiar with. And then another one, performance pad Q layout. This one I am not certain of. All right, with this option enabled, cue points will be displayed in a 4x2 performance pad layout similar to your hardware. Now, this will only apply to those that have that layout. I'm using the Range 62. It doesn't have that layout to where I have 8 pads and a 4x2, 2 rows of 4. So that won't apply to me, but Um. Oh, no, 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 no. Okay, this goes to show here. If I uncheck it, it's probably going to be vertical. This is showing how you would have your cue pads if you had a mixer that had cue pads like this. If I uncheck it, it's going to show it a different method, a different way. And see, there it is. This is the old traditional method, like Scratch Live or whatever. It show like this. You would show your eight, eight columns or whatever. So I would go back and change that since it's newly formed, and that's what a lot of people use. But in the case that you had that the four thin columns, two rows of thin ones, then you would go back. That would be your option. And next, this is show key as Camelot. You can change if you're not familiar with Camelot or anything here, then yeah, look that up. Look that up. All right, you can show as Camelot, you can show as classical key, open key, or original tag. Let's try it. Let me see what classical key look like. Uh, okay, it shows it in yeah, in key. Now, if you're somebody that plays instruments or whatever, you will understand this. I don't play instruments, so this is not me. I'm gonna change it back to Camelot because that's what I'm familiar with, and that's classical key. Let's try it. Let me see what open key. Okay, it's the same, but it's not the majors and minors. I don't think. Original tag. What is that? Okay, that's about the same. Sharps and flats. All right. Camelot works for me, so that's where I'm gonna keep it. And it also says live update smart crates will refresh on application restart. So a lot of this stuff up application updates when you restart. Now deck BPMs, and this if you like your deck BPMs with two decimal places, like here, with two decimal places to where you can get it more accurate, then you would have that check. If you just want one decimal place, which it can fluctuate off over amount of time, then you leave it there. I like it on two to make it more accurate. Now, this right here is the adjustment for the maximum updates per second for your screen. This is a video related issue for the display. So if you want it more in real time, leave it at 60 or move it up to 60. If you want it the refresh at a lower rate, then leave it at, and this is what happens. And see, the thing that I would say here, if you have an issue to where your screen is moving like this, and see, this is the refresh rate, and it's more like tick 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 tick. You really don't want to have it that low to have it more real time. You want it as high as possible to where is 60 updates per second. You can probably deal with 30 or maybe even lower. And I mean that kind of looks kind of smooth, but you get it to 60 to where it's more real time to the human eye. And you may even want to lower it if it makes your CPU go down. So let me go to 15, or it makes your CPU go high. And that right there is kind of glitchy. You see how it's kind of glitchy right there. So uh, let's just go to 60 and move on. And that's more smooth. And that's the refresh rate for your waveforms, for your control decks, and anything else that you're using. It's a display issue. All right, now this right here, I don't think really nobody checks this. This is leave it checked. Send usage data to Serato. Help Serato provide you with more personalized experience and improve product feature and support by automatically sending information about how you use Serato. Collection of this information will not affect your performance. So this right here is where they collect data as for what needs to be improved, what issues that we have or whatever. So this sends data back to Serato so they can find out if something is working or not. So don't want to mess with that. Just leave that on. You can uncheck it if you don't want Serato to get that, but and it may just only send that when you're exiting and if you have an internet connection, which you will have to. So it won't be a constant thing. All right, now music streaming. Now to have it checked, you got to have that checked, and then it will show you the streaming services that you can use. Now you can only use one streaming service at a time. You can only log in to one at a time. You got four to choose from. You got Beatport, BeatSource, SoundCloud, and Tidal. But you can only log into one at a time. And where you find your music streaming is right here. Like right now, I got BeatSource selected. If I had an account, I mean, I can get the trial, but if I had an account, everything, my tracks and stuff would show right here. And this is why I need to go log on. And the same thing applies for each of them. I used to have Tidal. I did a trial 3 month with Tidal with Tidal. It was good, but I think it could have been a little bit more. So that's it for that. Let me put up another banner so I can make sure I'm marking out. I am halfway done. That is 4 down and 4 more to go. This concludes for library and display. All right, let's move on to mixer section. And this only applies to your mixer. This should be real quick. Now, general is output. Of course, you want everything in stereo unless you run in mono. Your monitoring, and I don't think it will allow me to make any. No, it will not allow me to make any changes. But everything here applies to changes that you can make internally with your mixer, but inside Serato. That includes your monitoring for your cues, your up fader, and it won't apply to me with this one because this mixer does not allow that because it has actual knobs to make that change. So whenever I make that change on here, it will have to make the change internally. So forth and so forth. On controllers, on devices that don't have, where you can change the curve of it, this is where this would apply. Also, up faders, cross faders, and then your mics and aux level to where you can control. But this stuff mostly applies to anything that has internal mixers that don't have physical options in order to change it. You would need to change it internally. So that's where you can do it there. So this wraps it up for mixers because this doesn't apply to me. Only if you have a controller or a mixer to where these can apply to. All right, now, and next one is effects. This one is going to be pretty quick too. All right, effects. Now, these right here are your basic. This is what you get in your standard pack once you get Serato. These are your default right here. And as you can see, I have an additional pack. I have Wood Pack as well. So I have additional FX2. Now, if you want to add more effects, you can click on the get more and it'll take you, you can't see it, but it just popped up. It'll take you to Serato, the My Serato inside Serato DJ, and you could go in and either enable more packs if you have them, or you can purchase more and you'll get more packs here. Now, and if you have certain effects that you want to use, you don't want all your effects to show, you can create a favorites for it. You would check your favorites list, and it's not allowing me to check it. Why not? Okay, because I had favorites in here. Oh, I had it on this other. Let me see. I think I had it on this. Yeah, I had it on this one. All right, so I think what you have to do, like echo, I want echo is a favorite, and I'm gonna click on add. Reverb. I don't need phaser. I don't need this. Pan delay. Let's see. That may be something. Another version. Echo. Let's do distortion. And all those. These are effects that have 3 parameters that I can change. These right here with the single dots, I can only change 1 parameter in it. So I want to use the ones with 3. Now I think I can go here and yep. Now that I've added certain effects, these are the effects that are going to show when I open my effects panel. And as you can see, these are the only ones. I'm using favorites. If I go back and uncheck, if I uncheck this, it's going to show all of them. Yep, and you can see it's showing all of them. But if you have some that you specifically use, then you want to click on um, your favorites, add your favorites, and you can also remove it. Like if I don't want distortion, highlight it, and then I send it back over into this column. And that's it for effects. Effects was simple and easy to explain. And later on in the 202, probably at the end of the 202, I want to go through and play and find a use for all the effects that's listed, or well, at least the ones that I have. Let's just say the basics. So, and if you use any of these effects, if you use any of these effects that's not standard, let me know. And I want to get your examples as for how to use those effects. Because right now it's going to be a trial and error thing. I'm going to have to open up effects, hear what it sounds like, and figure out, okay, how can I use this into a transition or in a mix or just even in a song? So that's what I'm gonna try to figure out because they created all these effects for a reason. Just need to find a use for. But this close out effects. All right, let's go to MIDI. And MIDI is another one of those things that pops up only when hardware is connected. If I turn off the rain 62, it disappears. It may stay open because I have the rain 12, but other than that, it disappears. And MIDI is just what it is. Any MIDI device that you have connected, and MIDI is musical instrument device interface. Musical instrument device interface. That's what it means. MIDI has been around for like several years. I think dating back to maybe the 70s or so forth. Maybe somewhere, maybe even further back from there. And let me see. Okay. All right. Gotcha. All right. So MIDI has been dating back, but now MIDI is used highly in the DJ era as compared to what it did back in the 90s. Even the 90s, MIDI wasn't used that much. So now, since technology has advanced, MIDI has advanced even further and is the connections of it is just universal now. There's no special cables or whatever. It's all in USB. It's all included. And right here, the 3 MIDI devices that I have connected is the Rain 12 and the 62 mixer and another Rain 12. So it's showing my 2 decks and my mixer. Now, if I want to do remapping, if I want to remap the devices, I would check this box and do that remapping. And I'm not going to go into detail with that, but if you want to do mapping on Serato, you would go here and you would click on MIDI, and the settings they're not well, it can be confusing depending on what you want to set, but you can go here and you can map stuff that you could map devices um, that you don't have controls for. Usually a lot of your devices, unless you're using a low grade mixer, like maybe like the let me see, the Pioneer DDJ, I think it's the S3 or the S5 or something like that. It doesn't have a lot of the features that the 62, the S9, the S11, and the 7 series mixers. So you can remap certain functions on it. Like you can do maybe, I'm not for sure, but you can do instant doubles to where you can push a button or something to do instant doubles. You can filters. You can do a combination of other stuff that you don't have on that mixer, but you can combine it and make it into sub functions. You can have a main function, and then with the shift button or holding down another button, you can have it to where it creates a different function. But in order to do that, you would need to go to MIDI, and you would have to make sure that allow Serato hardware mapping is checked there. And the more devices you have connected, the more that it'll show. So right here, these are the MIDI devices that I have connected, and I want to uncheck my Rain 12. All right, now these are presets. Not for sure about this one because I don't have anything connected. I think with let's see, I have dicers, Ovation dicers. And where's the other one? That will probably give me a preset, and you can add, you can save as, change, and you can also change the lighting on those. I'm not going to really go into those in the detail, but any of your MIDI devices, they will show up here. If they're not showing up here and you have them connected, like I have Novation dicers connected, but I think it may be this cable because it's not lighting up. And let me try a different cable real quick. Because I think I picked up a cable. Okay, was that it? There we go. Okay, that was cable was bad. Let me go to a different cable. See if this one does any better. Okay, as you can see now, a lot of stuff disconnected. You see dicer right here. Uh, oh, okay. Okay, this is where you can name, right? Plus 12. Okay, so right now I'm creating a preset that includes these three devices. If I want to enable output lighting, I will have that checked or whatever, and I will load it. And you would use this if you have certain hardware. Like I got a tractor control one, control something is what it's called. Control MIDI device. I also have a Behringer device that does about the same, as well as an APC 40. So having certain device connected, you can save those MIDI configurations to where it will load them up correctly, especially if you make MIDI changes. If you make those, like say if I go in um and if I change the dicers to where um the buttons does something different. If I change those settings, the settings are saved here, which also to let you know, the settings here, if you go back to the first video, the Serato, the underscore Serato folder, this is where those savings are saved. This is where they're saved. They're saved in that folder and the backup folder. So when if I make those changes to the dicers, to where if I do dices to where I'm doing, and there, you can MIDI map dices or add additional features to them. So if I add features to them and they're saved here, but then I disconnect everything or turn it off and restart and come back, if I don't go back to that setting, this setting right here, or wherever it is I saved it, those settings won't show up. It'll just operate normally. It won't include those special features. So if you do any additional mapping or make any changes or anything, then you want to come here and make sure that you save those features. And I'm sure you could probably do a lot. But anyway, this wraps up MIDI. MIDI shows all your devices that connected. If you do any additional mapping, which, like I said, if you click on at the top right here at MIDI, you can do more. You can include more features onto your device than default. Then you want to come here and you want to save it. You want to save it so you won't have to redo that mapping again. And it also allows you to enable the output lighting. So whatever the lighting is that goes with that feature will also be the lighting that happens whenever you use that feature. So this wraps it up for MIDI. Next one and the last one is expansion packs. Not gonna go into this one that much, but there are a lot of tabs, and it's all gonna depend on what you have enabled. Like I have I have a lot of the kits, so I have more features. If you're a first time Serato user, you may not see everything I see. You may only see sampler, playlist, and play. I also have a feature where I can also do Serato. Okay, remote is listed. I don't have to enable it, but you can also do Serato remote. But I'm just going to touch into the ones that I have just for a little bit. All right, now Serato video. If you're a person that uses Serato video, you want to make sure that you come in and make some changes to these settings before you start doing video, especially on the output. On the output tab right here, your window aspects, you want it no constraints, mean that it covers the full screen. If you want wide cinema, you would go 16 by 9. If you want square box, then like a tube TV, you go 4 by 3. Uh, no constraints, do the full screen. All right, your quality output, and this depends on your laptop and what your processor and your RAM is doing. Your output is the video signal that's sent it to. If you can handle it, medium to high or best is what you're doing. This computer can handle it, so I'm setting mine to best. Recording quality. If you're recording video, uh, 360p is not 360 and 480 is not what you want to record at, especially if you plan on playing back. 720 and 1080p are the high def, with 1080p being the best. All right, your arrangements, you can let it stay normal, um, left to right, left output right. I'm not sure what that is, but I'm just gonna let it stay normal. That's your output, left right. Okay, I would need to play with that to see what that is. All right, media treatment, preserve, stretch, center cut, letterbox, preserve by default. All right, now if you have and let me pull show two tips up so I can get some ideas on some of this stuff. All right, let me go back to media treatment. All right, media treatment. These options allow you to choose how Serato video behaves when your video file is a different aspect ratio to the display you're outputting to. So if you have a video that's in letterbox, it's square, but you want it to show up as movie or theater wide, then you would go here and you would make whatever changes that you need to stretch it, to center cut it, to make it letterbox. All right, now VSync, this option is on by default. It synchronizes Serato video frame rate to the refresh rate of your monitor to avoid tearing of your output. By turning it off, you can see the frame rate of your system. You can see if the frame rate your system is capable of achieving. This is primarily used as a benchmarking tool. For best image results, leave this option on, and I'm going to leave it on because that's an option that you would have to change in transit to see what it's doing. And I still have MIDI. Okay, there we go. Oh man, you back? I'm almost done. I'm on the last one, but that's good because it's 3.5 hours. All right, so like I said, video sync, leave that on. It should have been checked, but it was unchecked. Uh, frame bleeding, makes playback smoother at less than full speed by blending adjacent frames. This makes slow movement of the video smoother by reducing jumps between frames. This option increases the CPU load. This option increases the CPU load. So if your CPU, which is over here, if it's high, then you don't want to use that option. I can use the option because my computer can handle it. I put the specs into it to where I can run it a lot. So this has to do with your playback to where it won't be glitching or whatever. All right, and now you got a video buffer size. This setting determines how much graphic RAM or VRAM to set aside for Serato buffering. Your graphics card has a maximum amount. Your graphics, if your graphics card has a maximum amount of memory of 1 gig, set this buffer to 1 gig. All right, now my video card is a 2 gig, so I'm going to move it over to a 2 gig, and you may want to set this to whatever your video is, or play around with it to find out what you want to do. So I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna hit apply to make that change. Now delay compensation, delay compensation. The video output delay compensation functions shift the main mix output video stream ahead of or behind your video for playhead audio playhead to compensate for video delay. Up to 500 milliseconds of delay compensation, negative values or additional delay, positive values may be applied. Drag the delay compensation control for coarse adjustment, hold shift and drag the control for fine adjustments, or click to reset the control. Click on the plus and negative to nudge compensation offset up or down. Double click the display number to enter the value directly. Press enter to commit the entered value or escape to cancel. Now, what this does, and this is probably going to happen, especially if you have a long run. Now, your audio is most likely going to be ahead of your video, because your audio is going to be coming out your mixer, it's going to be sent through, it's going to be amplified and then playing out your speakers. Your video is going to probably most likely have a longer run. So your video and your audio is going to be out of sync. And so what this does by making the changes here, you either adding a delay of here, or if you're like this, you're adding delay of here to where you're matching it. You could do either down or up to match it to where it's all together. It depends on what you have to do, and you have to play with it. Very useful configuration. All right, another thing in Serato video is the control. This is the auto crossfade speed, which basically means the if you're using the auto crossfade, how fast that it speeds across. All right, and then cursor. Check this box to use your keyboard cursor. To use keyboard cursors to crossfade. Okay, you check this if you want to use keyboard shortcuts in order to fade. All right, contour fade, and check this box to enable up fading and cross fading contour. So it allows you to, it adds more features onto your panel, your video panel, to where you can contour your fading. All right, then you have effects, which Serato Video automatically determine what effects and transition your system is capable of running. It will display any restrictions of your graphic card here. So I don't have no restrictions, but I don't have anything listed either. And right here, this checks, it links together my audio to video to effects. And then I got info, which when you start running video, you can come back here and see what everything is running at, and you might want to do that. And you can enable the debug, and you can enable the buffer debug view, which right now, since I'm not running video, I don't need to do any of those. All right, so that's it for Serato video. Just gonna jump. This enables sampler, and here, if you have one of your effects or whatever, if you have something that's not working or that's not showing, and like I said, this is another troubleshooting part that you may run into or somebody may run into or whatever, then you want to come to the expansion packs and make sure that is enabled. Because if I disable sampler is not going to be shown. So you'd be like, oh, where's my air horn? I can't find my, how do I get my air horn? How do I get my sampler in? Easy. You go here, you go into settings and you enable sampler, you come back and boom, it's there. There's your sampler right there. So you may have something that's unchecked, playlist. If you can't find your playlist, and let me show you what playlist is. Your playlist is, all right, let me close fix. Playlist is history, right? Yep, right here. Serato. And your playlist. And your history is where you're going to find it. If you have it disabled, and even the live playlist, it probably won't show like there. It's not showing. So that's something that you want to leave on. I would say all these, everything in expansion pack, leave it on even if you don't use it. Serato remotes. Um, Serato remotes is if you're using your iPad or your iPhone to control your Serato. And I have this on here. I don't use it as often as I used to, but you may not be able to see this, but here it is right here. You got two different types of connections. You could do it via USB, which is more real time, or you could do ad hoc. And do I have let's see, do I have a cable? I don't have one of my cables. Thought I left a cable down here. I need to find a cable. All right, let me see if I left it down here on the floor. Is this it? I think this is it. All right, so we'll connect this. And guys, and it should be still available for Serato. If you don't have, say like I got a 62 mixer. If you don't have a mixer that has the 4 pads on it, you get Serato. You will have, if you get Serato remote, you will have pretty much all the effects, or you will have all the features that you can do from a touchpad, but from your iPad or whatever. And I think this cable is either not working or it's not connected. I mean, it's an old feature that they've had since, I think they had it since Scratch Live. Oh, yep, it wasn't connected. So if you don't have it, and if they still have it available, I think it's like under $20. When I got mine, it was 10. But the thing is, you can put it on multiple devices. If you have multiple iPads, like I have an iPad 2 that it has a cracked screen, but I can still use it. I would still, and the screen is really bad. It's all bubbled up, but I would use it on this iPad rather than the one that I have here. So, where is it? So if you have multiple Apple devices, even on your phone, I think I've had it on all of my phones too, that you can use it to control your Serato. Okay, so why are we not connected? This is what you get when you have kids that use the same cables as you. Cables are shorted out. Okay, this is a bad cable. And I don't see another one in hand. But anyway, Serato remotes. Go to the App Store on your device and look up Serato remotes. It does a lot of stuff, and the features is well worth your money. And they haven't did an update in years. They need to do an update and add the features like what are the features that they haven't added? Uh, what is this feature? Trying to remember what it is. It's not flip. Is it flip? Slip mode to where you can check it. Um, but it does have all of this. It does have all these features that you can control if your mixer doesn't have them. So your cue points, you could do even your sampler, your effects. So you can do it won't do video, but you can do your sampler. Turn that off. You can do your sampler, you can do your effects. Yep, you can do all that stuff from your iPad. So if you have your iPad centered in a specific space or whatever, then you can do that from your iPad. So that's remote. And then play. If you can't, if you don't see the crossfader, basically if you don't see the icon, if you don't see the fader icon, which right now I have hardware connected. You're not going to see it when you have hardware connected. So if I turn the 62 off, then I will see the little fader icon right there, and then I will have play. So if you don't see play on your laptop when you're just trying to mix two tracks internally, then you may want to check to see that play is enabled. And so that's it for all of it, all of Serato. I've covered everything from this whole page to inside the settings. That covered everything. So everything from this point on out after today will be actual use of features, which is going to be advanced. I may continue it next week. I may hold off and wait for that part and just give it a break and give people to breathe with it, whatever. Then I mean, I could go ahead and I'll probably just do that. Go ahead and start editing these features before I get ready, and then that gives me time to experiment. So this is going to be a break, maybe about a month or two. Spend time trying to learn. Um, be able to use stuff in example because I'm most likely going to have to set up in another area in order to do it. But that's it for here. I am done. The only thing that I didn't cover is and I think I may have mentioned shortcut keys. If you go into the help offers a lot, not only just the tooltips that tells you where everything is. And let me turn this banner off. All right, so the going into the help not only provides the short the blah, 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 the tool tips, but it also it shows you all your shortcuts. If you a person that like to use the keyboard, you can find where your shortcuts are there, as well as if you actually need to go to support and if you want to watch more tutorials as for Serato. But in order to find a lot of the stuff that I've mentioned in these videos, you would have to go to maybe several videos, or you would have to go to the forum, because they don't have one section that's that gives enough, or one information, or one video, or one site, or whatever, that has all the information that I've done in this one video, plus a lot of stuff that you would really have to search for in order to find it. Maybe even stuff that you probably won't be able to find on their site. But you can watch some of their tutorials and get support if it's something that you need and you can't get in contact with me or whatever. And they got a search help box right here. Now the next box next to it is where, and you can't see it because I need to stop screen. I need to stop sharing and go back and share this actual share this actual screen right here, to where you log into your Serato. This was first day stuff. Account information. And as you can see right there, that's my hardware that's connected, and this is what I have. You can go for a remote. Now, I don't know if there's any difference. I didn't get the mini for my phone. I just used remote and downloaded it to my phone, and it worked. But I would suggest the Serato. Ooh, and they don't even, do they not offer it anymore? Okay, I clicked on the learn more, and it took me to a 404 page. Awkward. So they may not even offer it anymore. I don't know. I may have to check it. But they have expansion packs, and these are everything that I have. And the reason that it's showing up, um, and I guess I need to activate it here since I use this one. Well, I don't know, because you only get, like I said, you only get two licenses per device, or I can only use these on two devices. So I would have to pick a laptop and I guess a desktop. So since I can handle everything, I'm gonna go ahead and activate it, since I may be using this one. And I also got all the effects. So now my expansion packs should show a lot more. And I have everything. The only thing I don't have is the DBS, which I don't necessarily need. See what else did they have in? Okay, that's the club kit. That is the full, where you would need it for specific mixers. So I don't necessarily need that. All right, so now if I go back into expansion packs, I should have a lot more. And I do. I have pitch and time, it's enabled, flip and Serato, pitch and time and flip. And pitch and time is basically where whatever BPM, it doesn't change the actual pitch of the song. So it doesn't make it sound squirrely. It doesn't make it sound real draggy. It keeps it at a normalized, and it's, where is it? Here it is. Pitch and time. This is pitch and time. So let me explain what pitch and time is. Oh, that's key lock. Well, that's pitch and time too. Well, I thought it was. Okay, now where is flip? Okay, there's flip. This tab shows save flip sequences. Flip that are not visible can still be triggered from your device, hardware, or MIDI. Flip is, let me see if I remember what flip is. I haven't used it. All right, flips, all these are start times. So start time of flip. When flip is switched on, it will start playing back when you reach the point. This point of the track, double click. All right, now I haven't started using flip. That's gonna be something that's gonna be covered further ahead in the 202. So I just want to show that everything that I have is enabled now. I have everything set up and it's done. And that is it for Serato 101. Wrapping up. Any of you guys got any questions before I wrap up and close out? Because I'm reaching still a long point in doing the videos. So what I'm gonna do now to edit this video, I'm gonna edit it out to where I have all the tabs that I have, but I may do each function since I've spent at least a minute or so. I may break it up to where I have everything in details. If you need to know about a specific task or whatever, you can jump automatically to it. And I'm gonna start that editing like right after I finish, so I won't have to worry about doing it later because I still got maybe like 100 videos that I need to go through, including videos that I've done last week or whatever to make them shorter. That's what my intentions is to make the live videos a lot shorter. So, is there anything that I haven't covered? So that's what I want to do. I want to go ahead and if there's questions on something that I left out, or if there's something that I need to include, let me know. And also, did any of you guys learn something today? Because I learned something today, especially about that. What is it? The library, the the custom library. Because I always wanted all my columns, my library columns, to be the same, but they never stayed the same. I want it to be the same as all. I don't like them when I go to one and my artist may be over here in this column, but now is at this one, and I have to go through and change each one. Oh yeah, the new glasses, man. I had these last week. I got these about a week ago. I don't wear them a whole lot. I only wear them when I need to see. But since I'm looking at the big screen on the back wall that I need to see what I'm doing, but everything else is close up on me. I'm still getting used to them. I don't like depending on glasses a lot to where I'm blind without them. And right now, to get my focus back is kind of hard. So I don't go a whole lot without them because right now trying to see what I would have saw 4 hours ago on that screen. I can't see it. Everything is a blur. I'm looking at y'all comments and I can't see them. They are a blur because these glasses made them that way. But like I said, I don't like depending on them a whole lot. If anything, I'll be wearing them granny style off the nose and looking over most of the time. Like I'm starting to get my eyesight now. I can see. I can almost see what I was able to see a while ago. But like I said, I don't like depending on them a lot because I don't necessarily need them a lot. But yep, I'm wearing glasses. I'm back to wearing glasses now. Everybody got glasses. The whole family got glasses. So I'm kind of new. I used to wear glasses 30 years ago, and that didn't make me any blinder because I haven't worn them. Uh, oh, see, there you go. It's not you or the glasses, it's your old age. Well, that could be possible too. Got a lot of whiting and graying, but that's about it, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed this. And anybody else that enjoyed it, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I'm not really a person about the numbers, I'm about the knowledge. So if you enjoyed this, hit something, share something, or whatever. Because, like I tell these guys that are here all the time, somebody before the end of this week is going to need something from this video. It's going to be something in this video that I've said that's going to help somebody else. So usually I have a tab open up to where I have all my videos open, and when somebody needs help, copy, paste, you got it, boom. So over time, the numbers will build up. I'm not really worried about the numbers. I check them every now and then. You know, whether I reach 1,000 or 1,000,000 or not. You know, I'm not anticipating on going viral or being the next YouTube sensation. It just because I mean I started off doing this with Facebook. I started doing videos like this with Facebook, and I still have a lot of stuff on Facebook that I need to import over to YouTube. But when I realized, okay, it's archived better on YouTube, then let me put it there, so it's there. So now what I'm looking into is getting endorsements and sponsorships. So when they see that I'm doing a lot of videos, even if it doesn't rack up into the millions and hundreds of thousands of views or whatever, but it shows that I'm doing something that'll start to pick up. And I do have some companies that in mind. Some of them I've been contacting years ago. Some of them I just started that I'm looking to do that with. But I'm about to sign out because I came down here and I have not had any dinner. So there's cold food upstairs waiting for me to warm up if the kids did not eat them all up. So I'm about to wrap this up. Thank y'all guys for checking me out. Like I said, if this video, if there's somebody out there that has a question and something in this video can help them, either share the knowledge to them or send them to the link or send them to me or whatever, so I can send them to this video, because I don't really get the help that's needed unless people is watching the videos. I don't know if I said that right, but people don't get the help that they need unless they watch the videos, and they are rather long. uh, I do uh, I do give out a lot of information, but that information sometimes is useful. It may take a while then right then, but it's a learning curve. Everybody learns different. What I say may not click to you, but it may click to somebody else. But I'm about to sign out. Thank you guys for checking out. I will keep you updated on anything else. I got a ton of more videos that I'll be uploading. Make sure if you're not already, if you're new here, like, share, subscribe, ring the bell so you get the notifications of the next show, which either, like I say, when I do these shows, it's on a Tuesday, but the time may fluctuate depending on family schedule. It may be 9:30, it may be 10 o'clock. So usually I try to get it somewhere between then. Other than that, I will catch y'all later. My stomach is growling. Eric, uh, Steven, who else is here? Biggity 99, everybody that's tuned in. Thank y'all for tuning in. I will catch y'all guys later. I gotta go. Catch y'all later. Peace.